Kemi thought she was saving a dying stranger on a dark, rainy night. But what she didn't know was that the man bleeding in her arms was Korea's most powerful billionaire, and the enemies trying to kill him would soon come after her too. Before this story begins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unforgettable Afro-Korean love stories. The rain came down in sheets, turning the streets of Chicago into rivers of shimmering light. Kemi Obafemi pulled her coat tighter around herself as she stepped out of Harmony General Hospital after another exhausting 12-hour shift. Her feet ached, her back hurt, and all she wanted was to get home, eat something warm, and spend a little time with her younger brother Daniel before collapsing into bed. Life had never been easy for Kemi. At 26, the Nigerian immigrant worked harder than anyone she knew. Between hospital shifts, overdue bills, and helping Daniel through college, there was barely room in her life for anything else. But no matter how difficult things became, she refused to complain. She had learned long ago that life rarely handed people miracles. You fought for every inch. Lightning flashed across the sky. Kemi hurried toward the bus stop, shielding her face from the rain. Then she heard it. A scream. Not the kind heard during a drunken argument. Not the kind people ignored. This scream was different. It was filled with pain, fear, desperation. Kemi froze. The sound had come from a nearby alley. For a moment she hesitated. Every instinct told her to keep walking. The neighborhood wasn't exactly safe at night, but then another cry echoed through the darkness. And Kemi ran toward it. The scene she found made her blood run cold. 3 men surrounded a 4th man who lay on the wet pavement. The victim was covered in blood. One of the attackers kicked him viciously in the ribs. Another raised a metal pipe. "Please," Kemi shouted. The men turned. For a brief second, nobody moved. Then one attacker laughed. "Mind your business." Kemi's heart pounded. She should have left. Any sensible person would have. Instead, she grabbed a loose brick from the ground. "Leave him alone." The men exchanged amused looks. Clearly, they hadn't expected resistance from a young woman. The tallest attacker stepped forward. "Walk away before you get hurt, too." Kemi tightened her grip on the brick. Her hands trembled, but she refused to back down. Sirens suddenly echoed in the distance. The attackers cursed. Within seconds, they disappeared into the rain. Kemi rushed toward the injured stranger. Blood stained his expensive suit. Cuts covered his face. One eye was swollen shut. Yet despite his condition, there was something strangely powerful about him. Even injured, he carried himself like a man accustomed to command. "Hey," Kemi whispered. "Stay with me." The stranger struggled to focus on her. Dark eyes met hers. For a moment, something passed between them. Recognition, trust, hope. Then he collapsed unconscious. Kemi immediately called emergency services. As a nurse, she worked quickly to stop the bleeding until paramedics arrived. By the time the ambulance pulled away, she was soaked to the bone. She never expected to see him again. She was wrong. 3 days later, Kemi arrived at Harmony General Hospital and nearly dropped her coffee. The hospital lobby looked like a scene from a movie. Luxury vehicles lined the entrance. Security personnel stood everywhere. Hospital administrators rushed around nervously. "What happened?" Kemi asked a colleague. "You haven't heard?" "Heard what?" "The patient from the alley." Kemi frowned. "What about him?" Her colleague stared. "That man is Kang Haeseong." The name meant nothing to her. Then her colleague showed her a news article. Kemi's eyes widened. Kang Haeseong, CEO of one of the world's largest technology companies. Estimated net worth, over $12 billion. One of the youngest billionaires in the world. One of South Korea's most influential businessmen. The very man she had rescued. "No way," Kemi whispered. "Oh yes." Kemi stared at the photo. It was him. The same man. The same eyes, the same face. Her heart skipped a beat. Before she could process everything, a voice interrupted. "Miss Obafemi?" She turned. 2 men in black suits stood behind her. "We would like to speak with you." Every head in the lobby turned. Kemi suddenly felt very uncomfortable. The men escorted her to a private conference room. Inside sat Kang Haeseong, healthy, clean, perfectly dressed, looking nothing like the broken man she'd found in the alley. The moment their eyes met, he stood. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then he bowed respectfully. "Thank you for saving my life." Kemi blinked. The billionaire was bowing to her. She wasn't sure how to respond. "You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do." His voice was calm, sincere. "If you hadn't intervened, I would be dead." Kemi shifted awkwardly. It was nothing. It was everything. For the first time, a faint smile appeared on his face. And something unexpected happened. Kemi's heart fluttered. She quickly ignored it. Men like Kang Haeseong existed in a completely different universe. The meeting should have ended there. It didn't. Over the next few weeks, Haeseong found excuse after excuse to see her. Sometimes flowers arrived at the hospital. Sometimes expensive gifts appeared at her apartment door. Each time Kemi returned them. She refused to be impressed by wealth. What interested her was the man beneath the billions. And slowly, she began to see him. The lonely man, the exhausted man, the man who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders. For the first time in years, Haeseong found himself laughing, smiling, living. And he realized something dangerous. He was falling in love. Unfortunately, he wasn't the only one paying attention. Far away, in a luxury penthouse overlooking the city, a woman watched photographs spread across a table. Photographs of Kemi. Photographs of Haeseong. Han Seo-yeon slowly narrowed her eyes. The billionaire she intended to marry had become obsessed with another woman, a woman she considered beneath him. Across the table sat another figure, Park Dong-hyun, the businessman responsible for the attack in the alley, the man who had failed to kill Haeseong. His expression darkened. "If she matters to him," Park said quietly, "she can be used against him." Seo-yeon smiled, a cold, dangerous smile. "Then let's destroy her." The following weeks changed Kemi's life forever. One evening, after another shift at Harmony General Hospital, she noticed a black SUV parked across the street. The same SUV had appeared several times before. As she crossed the road, the vehicle suddenly accelerated directly toward her. Kemi froze. Tires screamed against the pavement. Then someone slammed into her. They hit the ground hard. The SUV sped past and crashed into a streetlight. Kemi looked up. Haeseong, his arms wrapped tightly around her. His face was pale with fear. "They found you," he said. "What are you talking about?" That night, Haeseong finally told her the truth. Months earlier, he had uncovered evidence that billions of dollars were being stolen from his company through secret accounts. When he got close to discovering the mastermind, they tried to kill him. The alley attack had been no random robbery. It had been an assassination attempt. And now the people behind it believed Kemi might know something, which meant she was now a target. "You should never have gotten involved," Haeseong said quietly. Kemi stared at him. "Would you rather I had left you there to die?" For the first time, he couldn't answer. The silence between them stretched. Then she reached for his hand. Neither spoke, neither needed to. The feelings between them had become impossible to ignore. But their enemies weren't finished. The next morning, scandal exploded across social media. Fake news articles accused Kemi of seducing Haeseong for money. Edited photographs spread online. Reporters surrounded the hospital. Patients whispered behind her back. Even some coworkers began treating her differently. The pressure became unbearable. Then came the final blow. Kemi was called into the hospital director's office. "We know these stories are probably false," the director said carefully, "but the attention is becoming disruptive." Kemi understood immediately. She was being pushed out. When she returned home, tears streamed down her face. Everything she had worked so hard to build was falling apart. Hours later, there was a knock at her door. Haeseong stood outside. In his hands was a thick folder. Inside were documents proving every accusation against her had been fabricated. Evidence linked directly to Han Seo-yeon. Kemi looked up. "What are you going to do?" Haeseong's expression hardened. "End this." For the first time, she saw the ruthless businessman who had built a global empire. Within days, Haeseong's legal teams launched a massive investigation. Private investigators uncovered hidden bank accounts. Executives began confessing. Government agencies became involved. The conspiracy slowly unraveled. Then came the biggest shock of all. One former executive secretly approached Haeseong with evidence. The true mastermind behind everything wasn't just Park Dong-hyun. It was Haeseong's own uncle. The man had spent years secretly stealing company funds and planned to take control after Haeseong's death. The betrayal was devastating. But before Haeseong could act, disaster struck. Daniel disappeared. Kemi received a terrifying message. "We have your brother. Come alone, or he dies." Kemi's entire world collapsed. Daniel was all the family she had left. She begged Haeseong not to get involved, but he refused. "I won't let anything happen to him." The kidnappers demanded a meeting at an abandoned shipping warehouse near the docks. Rain poured from the sky as Haeseong and Kemi arrived. Inside, Daniel sat tied to a chair, bruised but alive. Relief flooded through Kemi. Then Park Dong-hyun stepped from the shadows. Several armed men surrounded him. So, the great Kang Haeseong finally arrived. "Let him go," Haeseong said. Park laughed. "You still think you're in control." The moment he raised his gun, everything exploded into chaos. Security teams stormed the warehouse. Gunfire echoed through the building. Men shouted. Glass shattered. Kemi ran toward Daniel. Haeseong fought through the confusion toward Park. The two men struggled across the warehouse floor. Finally, Park broke free and pointed his weapon directly at Kemi. Everything happened in seconds. Haeseong saw the gun. Without hesitation, he threw himself in front of her. The shot rang out. Kemi screamed. Haeseong collapsed. The world stopped. She dropped beside him. Blood spread across his shirt. Tears streamed down her face. "No, please, don't leave me." Haeseong slowly opened his eyes. Despite the pain, he smiled. "Kemi, don't talk. I love you." The words shattered every wall around her heart. For months she had tried to resist her feelings. Now she couldn't. "I love you too." Fortunately, the bullet had missed his heart. Minutes later, emergency teams arrived. Park Dong-hyun was arrested. Han Seo-yeon was exposed. Haeseong's uncle was charged for his role in the conspiracy. The criminal empire collapsed. The company was saved. And for the first time in many months, peace returned. 6 months later, sunlight bathed a beautiful garden overlooking Lake Michigan. Family and friends gathered beneath rows of white flowers. Daniel stood proudly at the front. Chairman Kong smiled from the first row, and Kemi stood at the end of the aisle, her heart racing. Then she saw him, Haeseong, the man she had found dying in a rain-soaked alley, the man who had risked everything to protect her, the man she loved. As he approached, their eyes met. Neither could stop smiling. The ceremony was simple, beautiful, perfect. As they exchanged vows, Kemi remembered that rainy night outside Harmony General Hospital. One decision, one act of courage, one stranger she refused to abandon. She had spent most of her life believing miracles didn't exist, but standing beside Haeseong, she finally understood something important. Sometimes miracles arrive covered in blood. Sometimes they appear during the darkest moments of your life. And sometimes, the stranger you save ends up becoming the love you never knew you were waiting for.